Agents Podcast.
Lab Coat Agents, welcome back to another episode of the podcast. And today I've got some really good stuff for you. We are going to be talking to the founder and CEO of Guerilla Realty, the guy or guy of multiple guys behind the apps like Listing Cake, Fizz Bonanza, Nerd Sheets. And he's got a lot to share, but specifically, we're going to dial in today on three specific topics that he suggested that I think all of you will find very interesting. Number one, a 15-minute hack to get free leads from Zillow. Yeah, you heard that right. Let's take everything we can from Zillow possibly. How to build a lead machine from Craigslist. I barely knew that even still existed. And a 45-second robocall that books 2 to 3 appointments every time we run it. And I know that sounds a little commercially, but I tell you what, Chris got my attention. And so I felt like we could bring something to you guys. So stay with us here. Chris Jones, welcome to the show, my friend. How are you?
I'm great. Thanks so much. I appreciate. I'm actually pumped to be here. Been a fan of y'all's work for a while now, and
Appreciate that.
I've been looking forward to this for a few weeks now.
Appreciate it, man. Well, we're happy to have you, and we're happy to bring some value to our audience. So let's start here. Do you tell us who the hell you are? You know, I mentioned that, the founder of Guerilla Realty. What the hell is that? But tell us, go a little bit further back. Tell us how you came up in the business and what led you to where you are today, and what led you to these apps and all the good stuff you're doing now.
Yeah. So my name is Chris Jones, founder and CEO of Guerilla Realty, and I like to think that we do tools and training to help you rapidly grow your business. That's kind of like our tagline, and we just want to make really good marketing clonable in real estate. To go way back, like how did I get here? How do we arrive at that tagline? I'd have to go back to my dad, who got me and my brother into the business. So coming up, my dad was never in real estate. He was actually in automotive repair. So he worked his way up from being a mechanic in a shop all the way to owning several transmission repair franchises, and ended up doing pretty well for himself. But if you know anything about automotive repair, it's like a totally emotionally draining job. So he would come home, and even if you executed flawlessly for your customers, it was that job that like your customers still hated you, right? So they're pissed their car's broke. They're pissed they have to pay for it. It's always unexpected when the expense comes up, right? And so it's just one of those things that wore on him. And I think around the time I was in high school, he realized he didn't want to do it forever. And so he had obviously had a great business background at that point, having run several successful transmission franchises. He had a friend who worked for Century 21, a local Century 21 here in North Carolina, said, Matt, that's my dad's name, you'd do great in real estate. You'd crush it. Why don't you come join our team? And so he did, but you have to understand who my dad is. So he's an extremist in every sense of the word. So if he's going to do something, he's going to do it to the nth degree. And so he signed up for his pre-licensing course, and, was getting prepared to get his license. But while he was doing it, he also read every book, listened to every book on tape, every audio seminar, attended every seminar he could get into at the time. And he basically learned everything that he could learn about how to grow a great real estate business, how to be successful in real estate. And this is back in 2002, so like all the usual suspects. You got to work your sphere of influence. You got to flyer the right neighborhoods. And not only did he do them right, not only did he execute all of them while he's getting ready to get licensed, he executed them like 10x. So they're like, oh, you got to flyer a neighborhood of 100 houses. He was like, okay, well, I'm going to flyer 1,000 houses, right? Then they're like, oh, you got to maintain monthly contact with your 30 closest friends and family. He's like, I'm going to do 300, right? And you got to send this many postcards. I'm going to do 10x, and just on and on and on and on. And he gets into real estate, and 6 months in, he realizes that he's going nowhere fast, right? Is that all this marketing that everyone else taught him, it just wasn't really getting him traction. And so he had one of those days at the beach where you think, oh, God, did I make a big mistake? Should I have never gotten into real estate? Do I need to go back to cars? And he decided, before I just quit this whole experiment, I'm gonna go out on my own terms. And what he had learned from running successful businesses in the automotive repair space is that you want to get customers, you just post simple online ads and send them to some kind of web page that captures their information, right? And how come no realtors are doing it? And I know everybody's like, oh, duh, everybody does that today. But back in 2002, nobody in real estate did this, right? It was all sphere of influence. It was all postcards. It was all direct mail. It's all anyone was doing. And the minute that he tried that, right? So posting simple like Google AdWords ads and then having now it's known as a landing page. The minute that he did that, he went from having no business, no clients, to being covered up in clients where he had to actually hire buyer's agents. He's still a new agent himself, and he's hiring buyer's agents just to help him work all the business that he had. So obviously he became really successful, ended up recruiting me to work for him, recruiting my brother to work for him, grew a massive business. Well, here in North Carolina, it's massive. He had over 100 agents on his team. Now he's retired today, but there was a germ of an idea in there that I knew needed to be a business one day. And so when the time was right, my brother and I, we founded Guerilla Realty. And the idea was we firmly believe that real estate is the greatest business on earth. Like it's the only business where you can be a truck driver or a nail tech or a hairstylist yesterday, get your license and have uncapped earning potential, right? I've literally seen it, making 30,000, making 250,000, right? It's incredible. Plus you learn amazing talent stack. So you learn contract negotiations, you use sales and marketing, right? You learn everything, investment, finances and all that. But every realtor discovers at some point that getting consistent clients is really freaking hard. And so what we wanted to do was just build the world's greatest marketing engine for realtors, right? And make really good marketing clonable for realtors. And so that was the germ of the idea. And the reason why is it had been so hard for my dad when he first got in the business, but then he ended up finding a quote unquote playbook, which is, what we really focus our attention on right now, that just worked for him. And so that's what we're doing when we say we're, helping realtors rapidly grow their business with tools and training. That's what we do. So we build free apps, we come out with cool playbooks, and then we sell Pro Tools as our flagship product. And that's what it is. It's a marketing engine so that you can turn the key in any agent, any market, turn the key and line up client after client after client. So that's how we got here.
Awesome. So are actually selling real estate?
No longer. So the license has lapsed. I've turned 100% all my attention on growing Guerilla Realty. My brother is still active in the business. Well, he's part-time, but we still have a local team here in North Carolina. We use as a testing ground for building great marketing tools and great marketing playbooks.
Very cool. Very cool. So that is what led you down the path of the apps basically. Is that correct? And so my assumption is that you said you have a testing ground, and obviously leading up to this point, these visions, because I want to know a little bit more about the apps. I assume were your brainchilds of saying the industry needs this, my team needs this to create more business, so let's just go create it. Is that how this stuff has come about?
That's exactly right. So we design, and we always start, we have a saying around here. We start with version 0.1, which means we start with like the most primitive version of an idea, right? And so we're always looking for what we call playbooks. And think of it as like your go-to trick. So every realtor has a go-to trick that they use to get more clients. It could be open houses or cold calling expireds or whatever. Everyone has a go-to trick that they use to get more business. We're always looking for reliable, repeatable playbooks or go-to tricks that we can use to capture more customers. And so, for example, you mentioned how to build a lead machine from Craigslist. That's one of our go-to tricks, right? And so what'll happen is, while we're executing this playbook to use it to capture more clients, we'll realize, man, this would be a lot easier to implement if we had an app that did X, Y, Z. And so we'll build the Zillow hack is another perfect example. We ended up creating 3 or 4 apps out of just that one single idea. So we'll create apps like Fizz Bonanza, Listing Cake, free photo branding. All of these apps have come from, man, it would be really cool if such and such existed for realtors, but it doesn't yet. And so we build it.
How easy is it to build an app?
Well, it's not easy for me to build an app. I'm not a coder, but we do have an engineering team here at Guerilla Realty that builds amazing freaking stuff. And I like to think that we're pretty good at the visionary stuff, so we can envision what we want the app to do and how it should all work. And so we just have people on the team that'll build it for us.
So these apps are all free, I heard you mention.
Yes, sir.
What's the catch? What's the meaning behind it? What's the plan?
So our number one core value here at Guerilla Realty is we're here to help agents win. And so when we decide to do something or not, it's basically just down to, look, can we do it? And is it going to help agents win? Is it going to deliver value? And if it does, then we'll do it, even if there's no long-term payoff. But the good news is there's always long-term payoff. So in order for someone to use the apps, generally there's like you'll get a free lifetime account, but generally you log in with your email address and you'll join our email list. And, maybe one day you'll get interested in some of the stuff that we sell, and that's cool. But if you don't, that's okay too. So obviously we've grown a massive community, a huge email list. We were talking about that earlier. We have over 35,000 realtors who subscribe to our weekly newsletter. And one of the ways you join is by using one of our free apps.
I respect that. And I bring that up because I pretty much knew the answer to that. But you know how it is, especially in the lab coat community. There's always the trolls and people that just don't get it. And they're complaining about stuff. And it's like, oh, and we joke on the back end when somebody's complaining, like, well, let me refund you your membership cost to lab coat agents. It's free. You choose to be here. I mean, come on, people, right? And what you're doing is it's admirable because we're doing the same thing, right? It's the exact same concept. But when somebody complains, which I'm sure you guys have dealt with this, and then you're thinking to yourself, oh, now you want to sell, you're always about the money. And it's like, well, how do you think this stuff gets created, right? I mean, at the end of the day, we all have to do something. You have to sell a house, the listener, to make a commission, or you have to, introduce a buyer to a house to make a commission. Are you willing to work for free because the buyer or seller asked? So don't be a jackass. And I just wanted to say that because we don't get to vent too often, and I have a captive audience with our podcast. So you know what? I'm just going to let the troll know, if you're listening, stop being a troll, because what Chris is doing is pretty awesome. So let's give the apps a little bit of love real quick before we get into those topics, because the 3 topics are going to be good. But tell us about them. So you've got Listing Cake, you've got Fizz Bonanza, you've got Nerd Sheets. Start with one and tell us what they are.
Yeah. So my all-time favorite app that we've ever built is Fizz Bonanza. So obviously you're familiar with the concept of a FSBO lead, right? For sale by owner.
Yep.
Right. So Fizz Bonanza is a play on that word, but what we realize is that there's a lot of realtors out there that pay for a service that will deliver FSBO ads right to their doorstep, or for FSBO leads rather. So name, phone number, email address, that kind of thing, property address, all the info. So you can call them up and take the listing, right? And we all know FSBO leads are pretty good because they went to the trouble of listing their house for sale. They know they want to sell their house, right? And then we have their information, and we know that statistically, like 3/4 of them are going to get frustrated during the process, and they're going to hire a realtor, right? So the odds are pretty good. And so we call them up, and if you have a good approach, we have one particular approach that we like. We'll probably talk about it later. But if you have a good approach, a lot of times you can steal that listing. You can convert it from for sale by owner to actually sign the listing with you. And so what we decided was, look, most of these listings are publicly available on the internet. The problem is it's just so time consuming to go out and collect them and get their information and all that. So we decided, you know what? We have the ability. Why don't we do it? And so we built Fizz Bonanza. You log in with your email address, type in your zip code. It's only available in the US. Shortly, we'll support Canada as well, but right now it's only the US. Type in your zip code and the radius you want to search, and it'll just pull up all the for sale by owner listings within a 5, 10, or 15-mile radius of that zip code. And you can download it as a CSV. You can call through the leads right there on the website, or you can subscribe to the search, and we'll email you every morning on Monday to tell you all of the new for sale by owner listings that have come on the market in your area. And just 100% free.
Wow. Very cool. Very cool. Okay. So that's Fizz Bonanza. So FSBO data, you get FSBO listings. That's powerful. Tell us about which one you want to do next.
One of our most popular apps of all time is Listing Cake. People really love the name. So it's listingcake.com. And the idea is you can build an amazing listing video in 60 seconds or less, and you can do it from your phone. So we'll probably talk about why this is necessary. But what I do is, if I want to build a listing video, and I've never really been a big fan of virtual tours. I'm somebody that'd rather scan through photos myself. But there is a reason for video. So if you go to a home and you take a bunch of snapshots and maybe some 10 to 15-second videos where video really helps showcase the house, you can go on your phone to listingcake.com. You don't have to download an app from the App Store or anything like that. Just go to listingcake.com, upload all the video clips and still shots that you want, arrange them in the order that you want, and it'll basically create a video. You can do background music. You can do a professional looking overlay that's got the price and the address and all the information that you want the user to see. And then you just hit create and download the final cut. It makes you look like a pro movie producer, but it takes less than 60 seconds from start to finish to create the whole thing. And now you can use it as a lead magnet. So it's one of our best lead magnets is, hey, you want more information on this house? You want more photos, or you want a full video tour? Text this unique code to this phone number. And we capture leads all day long from listings that we either borrow or listings that we've taken ourselves just by using the video as a bribe or a lead magnet.
Interesting. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. It's really just that easy. That's how you describe it, huh?
Yeah, go try it out. Try it out.
Absolutely. All you got to do is give them your email address. It's not so hard. Okay, now Nerd Sheets. What's Nerd Sheets?
So Nerd Sheets is, think of it as a briefcase of all of our best real estate calculators. So I'm a geek. I'm big on numbers. I think that most realtors who claim to be a market expert really aren't, right? And the reason why is they don't bother to run the stats on their own local market very often. So we've got marketing calculators. We've got days on market using the absorption method to calculate accurate days on market. Because if you're trusting your MLS, you're way off. We could talk about that if you want. We've got our bulletproof CMA calculator in there. We've got list to sell discount calculator in there. We've got an amazingly accurate appreciation calculator. Most realtors don't bother to calculate appreciation. And this one's really versatile. You can use it in any market segment over any length of time, and it'll calculate accurate appreciation down to hundreds of percent. We've also got market forecast calculators in there. So it's a briefcase of all the calculators you need to be a genius, to be a true market expert, and it's 100% free. You just log in, all the calculators there. You can sort them, you can favorite them, and you can access them, download them. They're yours to keep forever.
We always need an extra calculator in our lives. Us real estate professionals, we're not meant to do math. We have to rely on technology for that. So awesome. So go check that out. You got Fizz Bonanza for Fizzbos. You got Listing Cake, which just sounds like some really cool video technology. And then Nerd Sheets, of course, is summarizing it. It's your calculator for everything, right? So mortgage calculator as well.
We don't have a mortgage calculator. We could go into why, but we're waiting for the right type of. But no, there's no mortgage calculator.
Okay, cool.
Something we definitely want to add in the future.
Awesome. Well, that's good to know. So if you want to sign up for it, you know that might be coming in the future, which is useful. Right. Cool. So let's get into this. Let's cut straight to it, and let's talk about this 15-minute hack that you have to get free leads from Zillow. So you mentioned in your email, you've been running this for a year now, and it works, but you're literally taking listings basically away from Zillow, essentially. Explain and tell us how this works.
Yeah, so Zillow is an amazing source for leads. So you can, like, there's Pew Research on it. You can go run the, fact check me on this, but basically 30% of people searching for homes on Zillow are rich, meaning they have at least 30% more than a national median income. 50% of them are going to be under contract in the next 105 days. Like, it's a really rich quality source of leads. The problem is that you're only going to have access to those leads if you're paying the payola, right? So if you're buying the Zillow Premier product, and it's, I don't know what it is now. We've actually tested it as one of our playbooks. Didn't really work out for us, but usually it's somewhere around $1,000 per month per zip code, and you might need as many as 3 zip codes in order to get a decent number of leads. So it's really freaking expensive, right? And we decided, you know what? There's actually a way for us to get some of these like really rich Zillow leads, and also use it as a way to position ourselves to take more listings. And it basically came with for sub owner. So I was never comfortable with the old for sub owner script. So most popular script of all time. I don't know who came up with it. I don't know if it was Tom Ferry or Buffini or one of the Eenies. I don't know who came up with the classic FSBO script. Everyone knows how it starts. Everyone's familiar with it. So, hey, are you paying out a buyer? Are you paying out a buyer's commission? I have a buyer. I'd like to bring them by the house tomorrow. What time would be good? And you arrange a time, and then you show up without a buyer because, of course, we all know there never was a buyer. You just wanted to basically shoehorn your way into like an impromptu listing presentation. I was never comfortable with that because I don't like lying, right? I refuse to lie. And I think that if you start your relationship off with a potential listing client with a lie, that you're going nowhere good with it, right? And so my brother and I, we still were really interested in kind of like cracking the for sub owner code because we knew that it was such a rich source of listings and we were heavily listing focused. So we came up with this strategy, ended up tweaking it and dialing it in until we had like the perfect process. And so here's, if you're okay, I'm just going to run you through the playbook really quickly. And anybody can use this in any market. Okay. So we like FSBOs because most of them are listed on Zillow, right? And we can flip these listings and actually get leads from Zillow using this simple strategy. So what we do is we call up, and most people, when they think about calling FSBOs, they're thinking about like spending like 3 hours on the phone, just cold calling, like crushing 100 dials just to get one FSBO to say yes. We generally make like 2 to 3 calls before we get one yes, and then we'll rinse and repeat every week. Okay. So this is very tactical, very surgical, but we'll start with FizBonanza. So we go to fizbonanza.com, download the list of for-sale owners, and then we'll just slowly, methodically call through the list. And the script goes something like this, but you can download it at another app that we have. It's called callster.io. We basically share all of our call scripts. So callster.io, you can download all of, it's a briefcase of all of our call scripts. So we call up and we say, hey, listen, my name is Chris Jones. I'm a local realtor. Do you mind if I come by your listing to take a video? And this is the only point in the call where you maybe even get the slightest bit of pushback because they're a little bit confused. They're like, wait, you want to take a video? Like, I get calls from realtors all day, but nobody's asked me to take a video of my property yet. And they say, yeah, I guess I don't mind, but why do you need to take a video? And my normal excuse is, well, I've got a lot of out of town buyers and I'd like to take a video so that I can send it to them without having, without them having to actually make the trip here. Nowadays with COVID, it's really easy. Like, hey, I've got people that don't want to go tromping around a stranger's house. They don't want to be exposed. And so they'd like me to take a video and I'll send it back to them. And then generally I'll offer to send them my realtor card to prove that I am who I say I am. Right. But generally we get off the call and they say, yeah, I guess I don't mind this. No problem. And I say, okay, great. I'm going to get started tomorrow. And this is probably the most important thing that I do. When I say I get started tomorrow, I actually get started tomorrow. Right. So many agents are total flakes and they say, oh, I'm going to get started tomorrow. And then like, they don't show up for 2 weeks. You will never take that listing and you will never use that listing to generate a single buyer lead, right? It's just not going to work for you because you've already started the relationship off with distrust. So I show up the next day, I go to the house, I let myself in with the lockbox code, and I do just what I said. So I go to listingtake.com, but I take a bunch of snapshots with my phone. I don't have to get fancy. I take a few video. Always turn your video or turn your iPhone to the side. Do landscape versus portrait. It'll make your video prettier. Okay. So I take some snapshots, take some video clips. I arrange it in Listing Cake. I go through, choose the background music, choose the overlay, download the final cut, and have amazing looking listing video. Okay. Now, the next day, I will call back the owner of the property, and I'll let them know. I say, hey, I created a video. I think it turned out great. The house is amazing. I'm actually curious why in the world you'd ever want to sell it, right? And this is just allows you to figure out what their motivation is, why they're selling, who really owns it, and why it's on the market in the first place, right? And no matter what the answer is, it's important that you listen, but it doesn't matter what the answer is. Then I say, well, look, I think the video turned out great. Would you like me to email it over to you? And just so you know, everybody is always thrilled to see the video. A lot of realtors are kind of thrown by this because they think, well, God, you lived in the house for 3, 4, 5 years. Why do you want to see it on video? And it's just like, if somebody took a picture of your kids playing soccer and was like, hey, you want to see the photo? You'd be thrilled, right? It's your baby. So people are always thrilled. And so I'll just email it over to them. Or you can upload it to Facebook and send them a link. And I say, yeah, I'll send the video over. By the way, I wanted to tell you, I became aware of your listing through Zillow. And Zillow does this screwy thing where they list all these agents, these premier agents next to your listing, and your information's pushed all the way down to the bottom. So I know you're probably not connecting with very many buyers yet, right? And trust me, every for-sale owner on earth is painfully aware of this fact, okay? And so they'll commiserate with you. Oh yeah, it really pisses me off. I hate that. I hate that my information is not available. I haven't connected with anybody yet. I really hate Zillow. And so I say, well, look, we have a really simple hack that we use to connect the owner of the property with more of the buyers, so that they're the first information you see rather than all of the agents. And all we do is we brand that lead photo with the information where they can text to get a full video tour. And then you upload it, and you'll be the first information that they see. And they'll actually reach out to you rather than reaching out to these agents who appear to be the listing agent. And we can either put your information on the photo so they can text you directly, or we actually have a text autoresponder service. It's just one of the things that we have here with Pro Tools. We have a text autoresponder service, and we can brand it with that. Most people choose to use our autoresponder because then you don't have to wake up at 3 a.m. to respond to text messages, and it'll just automatically send them the video, but it'll also send the information to you so that you can contact the buyer if you want, and you can connect with a lot more buyers. So it's up to you. We're equally comfortable doing it either way. 9 times out of 10, they'll actually brand the photo with our information, and then we brand it using one of our other tools. It's called freephotobranding.com. Brand it with a simple call to action that says, text this unique code to this phone number for a full video tour, and then they upload it to their. So what's really cool is we're going to be getting buyer leads from the Zillow listing that doesn't even belong to us yet, but we've also positioned ourselves as a marketing expert, a market expert. And we've also provided tons of free value. So generally within 2 to 3 weeks, we'll just check in once a week and say, hey, just wanted to see how see how the sale of your property's going. Within 3 weeks, every single time, one of them will say, look, we haven't really had any traction yet. What would you do if you were in my shoes? And so we actually use this one strategy to take on average about 3 listings a month, just from this one strategy. Wow. And even if we never take the listing, we don't care, because we've generated so many buyer leads in the meantime. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. My first question is, what the hell don't you do? So you're like, well, if you need a script, I got a script here. And if you need a video, we can do a video here. And if you need the FSBO list, we got that here. And if you need to go calculate something, I got that here. And what don't you have?
I don't know, but if you think of what we don't have, let me know. We'll try our best to build it.
How about a dating app? Can I also, get married?
Oh, meet the realtor of your dreams and get married.
That's incredible. If you weren't paying full attention to that and you need to dial it back, rewind about 10 minutes and listen to that again, because that's pretty fascinating. And a lot of it does potentially require the use of these apps, but we wouldn't endorse them if we didn't think it was going to be useful. I think this is something that we all need to do, is take back a little bit of control. And it sounds to me like Chris is doing that. And all you got to do is give him your email address. So I think that's totally worth it. Let's move on to the next one. I don't have any questions about that, because I really do want to know about, first of all, I didn't even know Craigslist. I mean, I knew it still existed, but is it really still relevant? And is it really a lead machine? How in the hell are you guys using Craigslist? And tell us about that.
Yeah, so this is one of our, I would say, top 3 playbooks out of 20 plus playbooks in our library that you get with Pro Tools. It's one of our top 3 playbooks, and it's absolutely the easiest for any agent with any level of marketing experience, whether you have any tech savvy or at all. This is the easiest one. A lot of people say, wait, Craigslist, are you kidding me? And you can fact check me on this, but Craigslist leads, people who use Craigslist compared to the background rate or compared to a Zillow user, make more money, about $20,000 or more per year, right? They have better credit scores by about 30 points on average. And they're more likely to be college educated, right? And a lot of people think,
where do you back check this?
So those numbers came up on Pew Research. There's also like a jillion websites that you can actually search like user data. So I think that, is it Alexa that's the number one? You can literally just compare an average Craigslist user to an average Zillow user. And Zillow would kind of be like the background rate. That's like it's so ever present that Zillow is basically is roughly going to compare to just like national averages. Wow. In terms of demographics. But look up the demographic data. I think Alexa is one of them. We actually got our demographic data from Pew, but there's several different places out there you can fact check me, and I encourage everyone to email me if you find out that I'm wrong. Okay. But more importantly, what we found is that people do still search Craigslist for off-market opportunities, or I find more often than not, people don't begin their search on Craigslist, they merely end it. So a lot of times a Craigslist ad, the user will originate with a Google search, right? But Craigslist is so well indexed that if you've packed your ad with keywords, which is one of the things that we teach in our playbook, if you pack it with keywords, the user will end up on a Craigslist listing. And if you know how to write a great high converting ad, you can still convert the lead. So in a nutshell, you want to build a lead machine from Craigslist. First of all, don't rely on your own listings. Okay. So if you only rely on your own listings, first of all, right now, no one's got any inventory, so you have nothing to advertise. So I always recommend that you borrow listings. Okay. And then when you borrow listings, don't just advertise them until they go pending. advertise them until they are legally not for sale anymore. Like they're actually closed. Okay. Which will give you at least 30 to 45 days to even a property that gets an accepted offer like that, you'll have more time. And so what I would recommend is, just in a nutshell, go out and borrow 5 properties, which means get written permission from a listing agent to advertise their property. Script is really easy. Hey, buddy, I noticed you have a listing on 323 Whitney Drive. I'd love to help you get it sold. Do you mind if I include it in my online advertising this week? Oh, no, that doesn't sound too bad. Let's do great. I'm going to follow up with a text message just as a CYA. Just tell me, reply yes that you don't mind me advertising, and I'll get started right away. Boom. You borrowed a listing. So even if you don't have your own, you've got something you can use to attract buyers. Okay.
So let me stop you there real quick. And let me ask
Go
you
ahead.
a question. Have you ever had anybody say the listing agent said no?
Not for me. People have reported. So I've never had anybody tell me no. I don't know if it's like the confidence that I have or that I've been doing it so long. Occasionally somebody will say, yeah, I had a really stingy agent tell me no. And I say, well, was it the only listing in your entire city? And they'll, laugh and say no. So we'll go ask somebody else. But remember that it is a win-win. So a lot of people feel like, oh, I'm stealing from this listing agent, I'm using it to generate buyers, but it's really a win-win. Like you're getting more eyeballs by advertising that listing, and they have a fiduciary obligation to the seller to get to show it to as many people as possible and get it sold as quickly as possible. And so if they tell you no, they just suck as an agent. No offense. Okay.
That or are they greedy and they're thinking that they're going to be the one to procure the buyer and double end it? Is that?
Well, when I say they suck, that's an exaggeration. I think the truth is they see life as a zero-sum game. So they're like, oh, if this person advertises the listing and they're able to attract a client from it, that therefore they took that client away from me. And that's not true, because you're going to be using a different marketing channel that I was never considering using, right?
Yeah.
But yet still you're going to be getting additional eyeballs on a property, which is going to result in more showings and more likely to get an offer more quickly. So, why would I say no?
Scarcity mindset is
Right.
what I would call that. Interesting. Okay, cool. Sorry, carry on.
Yeah. So borrow 5 listings. And the reason why you want to start with 5 is you might borrow a listing, run an ad and get nothing, right? You might run one ad and get 100 leads. You don't know, right? But I've never had somebody go out and borrow 5 listings, run 5 simple ads and get nothing. Okay. I've never had that happen ever. So start with borrowing 5 listings, write a high converting ad. And I don't know the easiest way to get this. We'll actually let your audience download our Craigslist playbook 100% free of charge if they want. Just get with me after the podcast. Maybe we'll put it in the show notes. Does that sound fair?
Yep.
So it's something that usually only comes with our paid service, but I'd like people to be able to see this and test it. We've had all kinds of cool testimonials come through where people ran it even without our paid product and generate, like Ray Walmers in Hawaii, $25,000 commission, pinned an $800,000 deal a month after running this playbook and didn't even have Pro Tools. So anyway.
And let me ask you this, when they're running these ads on Craigslist, how much is it costing them?
So 99% of the time it costs you nothing. There are a number of large markets, San Francisco, New York. I'm not sure who are the other markets, but some of them charge a nominal fee, like $5. But the reason why they charge is because the traffic you can get is insane. So it's always worth it. I've never seen an instance where it wasn't worth it. But generally it's free. For most agents listening to this, it's going to be 100% free for you.
Noted.
Right. So you run the ads, and then you need to make sure that you don't give away all the information, right? So I withhold the price. I only post 3 photos. People are like, what are you talking about, Chris? You've got it. They want to see the kitchen. They want to see the bathroom. Those are the 2 photos I'll never show them. And because what I want to do is I want to maximize their curiosity in this listing. And then I want to take that curiosity and I want to channel it into a call to action at the end of the ad and get them to respond to me so I can capture the lead and end up servicing them as a client, right? So when I capture a lead, it means I have a name and a phone number of somebody that I know is going to be under contract in the next 105 days or so. So restrict it, so let me go through it again. Restrict the price, 2 to 3 photos, exterior only. You want them to be curious about what's going on inside the house, okay? And then most people think you have to be Charles Dickens to write a great ad or to get people to respond. You don't. Start with your 5 favorite selling features of the house, like your 5 favorite, okay? Do a bullet list of your 5 favorite selling features, and that's the whole ad. And then at the bottom, you need to have a call to action where you say to get 47 interior photos, to get a full video tour, and to get current pricing, text this unique code to this phone number. You could even say, copy and paste this link into your browser, and that take them to a lead capture webpage. Or you could even have just call this number. That'll get you the least leads. Website will get you the most leads, but even a text capture, a simple text capture service, which most realtors have access to these days. Okay. Even a simple text capture service will generate leads for you.
Oh, interesting. That's so simple. And you, when you're talking about keywords, think hashtags, think YouTube, right? Think SEO, right? That's what you're doing. That's absolutely fascinating, yet so simplistic. I mean, listen, if you're an agent and you're listening to this right now and your cup does not runneth over, like you have time, why would you not? Especially if you belong to a big brokerage. It's even easier to go borrow listings because you have a bunch of friends in the business that you can call. You're not even cold calling an agent at this point. You're just going out to your agent saying, hey, learn about this strategy. I'm going to test it out. Do you mind me using borrowing your listing for? Why the hell would they say no? If they say no, they're a jackwagon, just like the previous one that I talked about, the trolls. So, man, that's really simple, dude. I don't know why. I guess maybe because it's so simple, it's overlooked.
Yeah, no, it's like we live in a world where you like complicate to profit. Like you got to make it sound ultra complex so that nobody could do it on their own, so they have to pay you to help them execute it or whatever. But we'll teach you that strategy for free, and like as long as Jeff's okay with it, we'll make sure that you guys have a link. I don't know what the link will be right now.
Yeah, we'll get you. We'll get you connected to Chris at the end of the podcast here. We'll get you the best way to connect with him. But before we wrap up, that was awesome. Tell us about this robocall, 45-second robocall that books 2 to 3 appointments every time you run it. Come on now.
Okay, so this is one of those like too easy strategies that most people don't bother doing because they assume like, okay, if I use a robocall service, that they're all going to be pissed at me. Okay, so I make sure. So we actually do have a robocall service. It comes with Pro Tools. Most of you, if you don't have Pro Tools, you could go out and get a robocall service. They're not terribly expensive. Okay. And then most realtors also have a huge database. So Jeff, do you have like a huge database of people that you've worked with or people you think might be buying soon?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. Usually it's like for most realtors, like a couple hundred people, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so what we'll do is we will record about once a month. We will record a quick message where I say, hey, this is Chris Jones. I'm sorry. This is a robocall. I know everyone hates robocalls, but I had to get this out very quickly to a large group of people. And so what's happened is a brand new house just came on the market. And then I give the details. It's not going to be on the market for long. You guys know the deal right now. It's 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms. If you think that it might be something you'd be interested in seeing before it officially goes on market, right? We've got like 24-hour period here before everyone's going to have booked a showing. Just press 1 at the end of this call and we'll get together with you and we'll book a showing ASAP, right? If you're just interested in seeing more like photos or videos of the listing, but you don't want to go see it, just press 2 at the end of this phone call. And then if you never want to receive a notification ever like this ever again for as long as you live, just press 3 at the end of this phone call. And then I hang up and it's done. All right. Nobody's mad at me because I've only done something that delivers a massive amount of volume, but I was able to, in a single, like I took 5 minutes to record the message and then I pressed go to my entire database. And I was able to call 200 people at once. I will always, always, always book a minimum of 2 to 3 showings and these are people that maybe I've been following up with, but they're just not ready to make the jump. They're pre-approved. I've been following up with them. Most of them are still a little bit scared of realtors. They don't want to jump in the car with us, right? I will always book showing appointments from people that before that just needed another nudge before they were ready to go. I will also revive relationships with people who ghosted me, which that happens to all of us. They ghosted me, but I'll revive the relationship because they asked me to text them more information on this listing. And so I'll actually text them personally from my own phone, say, hey, you requested more info. Here's the listing information. Let me know if there's anything else we can do to help. And you revive relationships. So generally it's 2 to 3 showings, maybe another 5 to 10 people who are interested in just reviving the conversation. And the coolest part is anybody who doesn't like this can unsubscribe. So it'll never, and our system's really smart, so it'll never call them ever again. But it takes me 5 minutes. It'll call 200 people with a really nice message that delivers a little piece of value. And people are always really thankful for it.
That sounds like too good to be true. That's like a slide dial, essentially, right?
Well, you can do a slide dial. So slide dial is like when you drop the voicemail when they don't pick up. I actually like this one to play the minute that they answer, right? And so it'll continue to call through the list until somebody does answer. up to like 3 or 4 times, and then it'll just say, okay, this person's not going to answer this phone number. But I actually like for it to play live when they answer, so that they can do the live touch tone. And what's cool is I'll actually have people call me back because they missed the call and they see they have a missed call, and they'll call me back and they say, oh, I was just calling to let you know about a new listing that's about to hit the market. And, you'll revive a conversation that way too.
Interesting. Another pretty sexy strategy here that I wonder how many people are actually implementing. So this is great, dude. I mean, we're running long on time here, so I want to wrap up. We mentioned that we were going to give them a place to go to find you, to connect with you, so they could get some assets here. You're going to give them something on the Craigslist. So tell them about what they're getting and where they need to go to get it from you.
Yeah, so if you guys are interested in this, you want to try the Craigslist idea. It's the absolute simplest, easiest thing for an agent with any level of tech savvy or any level of experience to go out and start generating leads immediately. And so Jeff will post the link in the show notes. So just look for the Craigslist Playbook link. This is something that usually only comes with our paid service Pipeline Pro Tools, but we're just going to give it away for free. It's just one playbook. And remember, a playbook is just a step-by-step formula, literally give you the steps and the checklist so you can go ahead and execute this in less than an hour this afternoon. And it'll include all the scripts and the copy and paste ads that you can use so you can run this on your own. So there'll be a link down there. If you want to find out more about us, GuerrillaRealty.com is a great place. You can look us up on Facebook, or just Guerrilla Realty on Facebook. And I'd love to connect with you guys.
That is fantastic, Chris. As I mentioned in the early going, obviously you guys are doing some pretty awesome things. There's very little that they don't do. You may not be able to find a date on one of their apps, but perhaps that's coming next. Maybe I just gave them their next $1 million idea.
Yeah, real estate dating.
But listen, guys, this what people like Chris are doing in the industry is very similar to what Tristan and Nick have built with Lab Code Agents, and I'm just a part of. And it's powerful. It's coming from contribution. That's what you're doing. You're finding gaps, you're finding needs, and then you're going out and producing something, a tool that will help them fill that void. And all you're asking in return is saying, hey, I'm going to send you an email here and there. And you don't have to buy from me, but maybe at some point I'm going to send you something that you like. And I totally get it. I love it. I respect it. I love what you're doing. So go check them out. Give us the contact one more time, and then we'll wrap this thing up.
The contact?
Yeah, just how to get a hold of you.
Oh, so Chris at GuerrillaRealty.com is my email address, GuerrillaRealty.com, or look us up on Facebook. Just look up Guerrilla Realty. And by the way, never name your business a homonym, right? It's Guerrilla Realty, like guerrilla warfare. So GUERILLA, but Guerrilla Realty. Look us up. You'll find us online and connect.
I'm glad you said that, because I think a lot of people would have thought it was from the monkey family. I like that. So Guerrilla, it's Chris at GuerrillaRealty.com, GUERILLA Realty.com. Go send him an email. Tell him you want some free stuff. Go check out the show notes. You can find it there. Chris, thank you again for being a guest on today. This has been fun.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Absolutely, man. Take care.
Lab Coat Agents Podcast.